guys, it's Izzy here, and today I'm going to be doing my wrap up for March, showing you all the books that I read this month. So we're going to start out with my favorite book of the month, which was the first book that I finished this month. But before we start, in the pinned comment down below, I will have the links to my Goodreads reviews for all the books that I mentioned in this video. So let's start out with The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. So this is a very complex book and it is probably hard to follow for some people. I gave this a 4 stars out of 5, and I'll get into why I gave it that. But this, I really love this book, and the Victorian times are one of my favorite times in history, and obviously that's when this book takes place. Well, some of it takes place. So we start with Elodie Winslow, and she is an archivist in London, and she comes across this bag, and they don't know who this bag belongs to. There's a sketchbook inside and a photograph of a woman, and she's just really drawn to this photograph of this woman, but doesn't know why. They don't know who the woman is. And then in the sketchbook there is a drawing that reminds Elodie of this this childhood story that her mother would tell her and all that. So she's like, that is exactly the house that I pictured in the story. So we go through a lot of characters throughout history and how they all connect to this house. I think it was Birchwood Manor, and we go from characters from the Victorian times to the modern time and just how all their lives intertwine, because they are all somehow connected. All these characters' lives have intertwined at some point. So that's why I think this book is so complex, because there are so many characters and so many timelines that you have to keep up with. Like every chapter or every part of the book, it's all different time periods and everything, and I do think that may be confusing. For me, it wasn't confusing, but for other people, I do think it can be. So I love the English setting so much. I just love an English setting. I love England. It's one of my favorite places that I have visited, and I love this book. It was so good. So but yeah, through this we're trying to uncover who this woman was in this photograph. And this book was one of my favorite books from the year. So moving on to our next book, which is the complete opposite. So this book is Thorn in My Heart, a novel by best-selling author Liz Curtis Higgs. And this is in the first book in a series. I don't even know what the name of the series is. It's something about the Scottish lowlands, something like that. Or hold on, the Lowlands of Scotland, book number 1. So this, I did not know much about this book. Somebody gave me this book, and as we were just cleaning up their bookshelf, my grandma was. So this book is a retelling of the biblical story of Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. And yeah, so I didn't know that, obviously, when I got this book. Obviously, I don't know if that's obviously, but I was looking at Goodreads reviews, because I do like to read some before I read a book, but I don't read a lot because I don't want to go in with expectations. And I found out this is Christian fiction. I didn't even know, or Christian literature, something like that. And I didn't even know that was a genre, but so I thought this was going to be very bland, like just bland, with no drama, no plot, but it was the complete opposite. There was a lot of drama. And so this is set, as I said, it's a retelling. It's set in 1788 in the Scottish lowlands. So obviously that setting does intrigue me, because I've never read anything set in Scotland, and I don't think I've even read anything set in the 1700s, to be honest with you. Yeah. The chapters in this book are very short, and that's the plus. I love short chapters. They vary between like 5 to 7 pages, which is really nice. But there is a lot of Scottish dialect used in this book, so I do think this would be better as an audiobook. I don't know if there is an audiobook, but if you do want to read this book, that's what I would recommend doing, going down that path. And so, but there is a glossary in the back, but still, I just found that very hard. I never look at glossaries in books anyway, so I would recommend doing this on audiobook. And there's a love triangle, obviously, because in the biblical story there is a love triangle, and I didn't like it. it made me realize I do not like love triangles. I really do not like Lyanna's character. I pronounce it Lyanna like Game of Thrones. It may be Lyanna. I don't know how to say it. It's Leana. But yeah, I didn't like her. I found her chapters very annoying, but that may have been on purpose what the author was trying to do. But yeah, I gave this book only a 2 out of 5. And yeah, and this is a very slow moving book, I feel like, in the start, but then once you get towards the end, the pace does get up more. So now going to a non-fiction book, and that is The War of the Roses. This is more of a coffee table book, and this is edited by Elizabeth Hallam, and the preface is by Hugh Trevor Roper. My apologies if I said their names wrong. So this is just a history of the War of the Roses, which is my favorite time period in history. This book got a 4 out of 5 from me because at times it can be very dense, and I feel like if you don't know anything about this time period, this book will be very hard, just because it's so much information being thrown at you. But I did really like that this showed like everyday lives of normal people as well, and not just royals or noblemen. And this didn't just show England, it showed really Europe at the time. It showed just a lot of different aspects and not just the battles and the war. It just showed political stuff, it showed normal things, it showed technological advances at the time, the art at the time, the food, the clothing and everything. Yes, but I did find confusing at times, but I turned out liking later on. So we have this yellow section, and this is a contemporary from somebody who's alive at the reign, and hence this one was in Henry IV, which was 1399 to 1413. And then we have these that are more the historical, well, they're all non-fiction, but this is a contemporary of somebody at the time, and this was written in 1986. So this is like the dress and adornment, while this is what is happening during Henry IV's reign. So this book is it could be very dense for somebody who does not know a lot about the time, but if you already know about this time, I would recommend. So then we have the book I'm currently reading, but I should be finishing up tomorrow, which is today you're seeing this video, but it is Slash's autobiography. It seems excessive, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So Guns N' Roses is my all-time favorite band. If you did not know that, I got to see them in concert. I saw Slash. I love Slash. I have been enjoying it, but let me tell you, it is a long one. It's like 400 pages, something like that. I've been reading 2 chapters a day, if you're curious. But okay, so this is very descriptive, and I do get a picture in my mind, so that's one thing. And but he does say, like, we'll get to that in a bit, a lot in this, and like in parentheses, and I don't really like that in books, so I'm like, if you're gonna get to it in a bit, don't tell me now. We'll get to it when we get to it. And then I do like how this book has pictures throughout. I'm trying to find a page that shows that. Like, it has pictures throughout the book instead of just in the middle. It does have the pictures in the middle, but it's not just the pictures in the middle. So, but yeah, this book it does feel really long, and the chapters can be sometimes up to 50 pages plus. But he's lived a wild life, so it's understandable. And I should be finishing this book tomorrow, but as of right now, I do think this is going to be a 4 out of 5 stars. So those are all of the books that I read this month. I didn't do any book clubs because none of the book clubs that I have been participating in put any what books they're reading this month. So I may be in a bi-monthly thing. I don't know. But I do know what book club books I'm going to be reading in April, but I don't know what books I'm gonna choose out of my books that I own. I haven't done that yet. I'll be doing that once I finish Slash's book. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. Bye guys!